Michael Cohen once said he'd take a bullet for Donald Trump. Now the US president's former lawyer and fixer is testifying against him in front of Congress, and the evidence he's presenting could be used to impeach the president. Back in November, Cohen pleaded guilty to tax evasion, bank fraud, campaign finance violations, and lying to Congress. He's been sentenced to 3 years in prison for these crimes, but before going to prison, he's sharing evidence that he says proves that he was acting on behalf of Donald Trump.
A copy of a check Mr. Trump wrote from his personal bank account after he became president to reimburse me for the hush money payments I made to cover up his affair with an adult film star and to prevent damage to his campaign. Copies of financial statements from 2011, 2012, and 2013 that he gave to such institutions such as Deutsche Bank. A copy of an article with Mr. Trump's handwriting on it that reported on the auction of a portrait of himself that he arranged for the bidder ahead of time and then reimbursed the bidder from the account of his nonprofit charitable foundation. And copies of letters I wrote at Mr. Trump's direction that threatened his high school, colleges, and the college board not to release his grades or SAT scores.
Well, for more on this, Santosh Rao joins me now from New York City. He's the head of research at Manhattan Venture Partners. Good to have you back on the program, Santosh. So, some stunning allegations there, really just the tip of his testimony. Obviously, all of this is designed to build a case against President Donald Trump. Do you think it'll work to impact him in any way?
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I think what he is essentially doing is feeding both sides of the political divide. It reinforces the narrative of a racist and a cheat and all that on the left. It reinforces, or rather the Republicans are trying to bring forward the credibility of a guy, the motives of a guy who has been working for him for 10 years loyally and did not do anything. And all of a sudden, after being convicted, suddenly he's turned on him. So you have to question that. So there's enough for both sides to question him. But I think they're looking for, essentially, Democrats are looking for some criminal angle that they can tie up. They want to weaponize his testimony and the Mueller report and try to stay on top of Trump throughout until 2020. So there's a lot of things going on. We don't know exactly where it's going to settle. But at this point, I think there's enough confusion in the air to kind of pin down. No one really accused Trump of being the honest, straight guy. He ran on that. His reputation was well known. He got elected on that. So I think that part is really a moot point. But I think they're looking for some criminality. I don't know if they can get it from this testimony.
You mentioned the Mueller investigation there, which is still ongoing. That's looking at alleged Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. Cohen also mentioned that Donald Trump apparently knew about the hacked Democratic campaign emails in advance, suggesting that perhaps there was a link between the Trump campaign and Russia. I mean, is that enough to perhaps draw that line more concretely?
Yeah, I think if it can be conclusively proved, I think there are some issues with that. But I don't think it's been proved without a shadow of doubt. That's why people are waiting. Everyone has testified in front of the Mueller report, in fact, of the Mueller Commission. So we'll see where that goes. At this point, that is definitely damaging if you think of it. But we don't know how much was it violation of campaign. Was it just opposition research? There's so many issues. There are fine lines that going on there. Not sure exactly what the legal angle is on this. But on the face of it, looks like there is enough confusion that both sides can draw on.
As all this is happening, Donald Trump, of course, is in Vietnam as the second Trump-Kim summit is underway. Donald Trump did take the time to tweet from there saying that Michael Cohen's just lying in order to reduce his prison time. Cohen is due to go back into prison in May. Could the president be right? Could this be Cohen's motivation?
Oh, absolutely. He's been saying that all along, and just on the face of it, it looks like that. Anyone, you saw Comey, you saw Andrew McCabe. Once they got fired, they hit back, and it's very normal. So I think does this fall in that category as well? When he's thrown out of the Trump orbit, certainly he's fighting back for his own credibility, for his life after he comes out of prison, for his redemption. So I think there's so many things going on. We'll see. And that's what I said. At this point, his testimony, he's not a very credible witness. This is a lot of grandstanding to some extent. The Democrats wanted to get his narrative out in front of him, in front of the people, to kind of continue with what they believe is a violation of so many things. They want to get closer to impeaching him. Yes. They need some solid evidence to do that. So I think this kind of pushes them there. But I'm sure it's not a slam dunk at this point. There's a lot of confusion because basically the credibility of his Michael Cohen is in question.
That's right. And just quickly, I want to ask you about the Trump-Kim summit in Vietnam. What do you think will come of that? This is the second meeting of theirs. Is it going to be more than just a friendly photo op?
Well, the hope is that it'll be a little more than that. The first one was just a photo op, kind of just broke the ice a little bit. But I think this one hopefully will be a little deeper than that. But I think the North Korean leader is more confident now. I think he feels that he's in a better negotiating position. Yes. We'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, U.S. wants him to denuclearize. That'll be an ideal situation. North Korea wants all the sanctions lifted and wants to come into the mainstream. So both of them want that. But we'll see how much they will get. Is just the saying that just him saying that we won't use the nuclear weapons, we won't do any bombs and all that stuff. So is that enough for Trump, or does he want total denuclearization or a path to it? So I think that's that. I think definitely it's moving in that direction. It's a net positive that the fact that they're meeting and take away a risk in that part of the world.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there, but we'll see what happens at the end of tomorrow's meeting. Santosh Rao in New York, thank you as always.